everybody, and welcome to Focus Group. Today, I'm interviewing Kavish Sinha, who's very, very interesting, very charming, and a very witty human being. He's one of our top casting directors today, and through the lockdown, he's been super busy. I think he said he has about 5 days free. So let me get Kavish on to tell us a little bit about himself, what he's been doing, and share some funny and interesting stories with us about his cast. Hi, Kavish. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
So, Kavish, tell me, firstly, what inspired you to become a casting director?
So I happen to be friends with Shanu Sharma, who is the head of casting at YRF, and I just started hanging at her office, quite often because I used to be in Bandra then, and she was in Santa Cruz. So I used to just go to her office and just meet her for a bit and just stay there for a while. And I witnessed a few auditions. I witnessed, people coming in for auditions for their introduction procedure. And while I was just sitting there, I realized that I've always been a people's person, I've always enjoyed people in my life of any kind, I don't demarcate in people, I don't choose my people. I just feel that everybody is so special, everybody's so unique. And just to see them coming, with so many aspirations into one single office, into one space, and it was, I just felt virtually a part of their journey. Just sitting there, I just felt that I am a part of this, and I could be this person, or somebody very close to me could be this person. Their aspirations, their ambitions, the glint in their eyes, when they used to enter that office and wanted to be a part of YRF, or in whatever part possible. I think that just gave me a very different perspective to life. Seeing 70-year-old people walk in and say ki kuch chal raha hai kya, and simple questions like that, and it was just very enamoring. Also, it kept me very grounded suddenly. I just realized that, so I was in advertising back then, and I was doing very well in advertising agencies in that circuit. I was the vice president of a social media company back then and everything, and I thought I've arrived, at the age of 26, 27, I thought I've arrived now, I'm earning, a package and a monthly salary in 5 figures and all those things. I mean, all those things were started to creep into the system. And suddenly I realized that everything is so transient, everything is so temporary. And when you meet these actors and when you meet these people who never have a permanent solution to anything, their life is so indecisive and it's so fragile all the time, that I just realized that, listen, there's still a long way to go. If these people can come at this age and be aspirational and look for work, how in the world do you think that you arrived at 27? And that brought me closer to casting. That brought me closer. I didn't think that there's any other profession in the world that will take me closer to people that much.
Yes.
Even during advertising, I really used to enjoy focus group discussions and all your quantitative and qualitative and research that I had to do, when I had to go and speak to the consumers. I always enjoyed that process more than making PPTs and those decks for clients. I thought, why not talk to the consumers? So I think that's what inspired me to become a casting director. And then I joined Shanu as an assistant. I asked her, would you take me in? And she said, I would never be able to pay you the salaries that you get and everything. I chuck the salaries, I was like, let it be. I don't worry about the money. I've made enough money, at the age of 27 to survive another 2 years. So, and that's how the journey began. I joined her as an assistant in her office. I started taking charge of the office entirely. And so I was the person to meet, all the actors coming in and all those things. So that's how it started. And after a year and a half, I chose to foray independently into casting. Just thought that, it's time to be the boss now, so that's how it began.
And he's a very successful boss, let me tell you. He's done some fantastic projects. So, Kavish, tell me, during the lockdown, what have you been doing?
I think the lockdown has been my freedom. I mean, it's so weird to say that, but I've actually found a massive sense of freedom during lockdown. The freedom to work at my own pace, the freedom to work in my own style, the freedom to work from wherever I want to work, And also a very big realization is, that these meetings and these, 1 hour long traffic journeys, that we do every day are absolutely futile.
Agree with you. So, Kavish, tell me a cost-effective way that an actor can put together equipment and also a little bit about the perfect audition for you. Give us
Right.
tips, guidelines. Guys, this is for all of you. Guidelines from Kavish about where to place the light, where to place your camera, and also a cost-effective way to do that.
Right. See, you actually don't need anything apart from a decent mobile phone.
Yes.
So, there are a lot of actors investing in those ring lights and, other soft boxes, and they're getting backgrounds, in this thing. Everybody will have a window at home.
Yes.
All that matters is the timing. So what I insist upon is that every actor should learn about lighting. They should read about it a little bit.
Yes.
It's all on Google. You can just figure out when to capture the best light. They need to be very aware of the light in their house, and everything is available to you. You just need to get something. You just need a nice equipment to record things.
Yeah.
You don't really need equipment to light your house up. You don't really need a sound machine or a boom mic or a mic or anything of that sort. People try and get very, very meticulous with this.
Yes.
While all you need to do is just understand what you have in your house. Just find a nice plain wall somewhere, or find a wall where the light is not coming from behind but in front of you. Your face has to be in light. My biggest
Yes.
problem is stand under tube lights, like when the tube lights right over your head, and they'll just stand there and audition. You don't realize that I'm getting a beautiful backlit hair glow. There is a halo behind them, but the face is not visible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what they need to understand is they need to stand in front of a window.
Yeah.
You don't need a tripod. You can just compile 7, 10 books, together, and you just collect them into a heap and
Yeah.
place your mobile phone on that. Buy a
Absolutely.
small mobile stand, maybe like this, which is $100, on the internet.
Yes.
Just connect your mobile phone into this like
I
that, and
understand. Yeah.
and place it on the books, or
Right.
or any other. If you have a block of wood, if you have a carton or anything, just place it somewhere and place the phone on that so that it's still, and you're ready. So it
Wow.
doesn't really need investment, as long as, and everybody has a good phone, especially actors, they do, because
Yes.
there's so much, that they need to communicate and everything. You don't need an iPhone 11 Pro or whatever. But any good phone with a decent camera which captures good light
Yes.
is all you need.
Absolutely. And everybody has dabbas at home, boxes. Like my computer is on 2 boxes.
Exactly.
give
I
it
have
that height.
some 7-8 books, right now under my
Yeah.
MacBook. That's how I
Yeah.
placed it.
Yes. Everyone knows
Just
that.
know that, you don't have to get into tripods and figure out a way to unscrew that and fix it and then adjust the height. No, do it at your convenience. Because I've seen there are so many auditions when the actors are just conscious about if the tripod's going to fall or if it's going to
God.
trip. So they're looking at the camera and they're just looking at it like this. They're so conscious and they're looking ki ab gir jayega, tab gir jayega. So don't be uncomfortable when you're auditioning. I mean, make things which work as per your comfort. So cost effective, it could be a zero cost process, in fact, not even
Yes.
effective for that matter. You
Yes.
don't have to invest a penny in auditioning well. You just have to
Wonderful.
understand your house, understand your environment, and just be aware of the space that you're operating in.
Yes.
I mean, as much as I request actors to figure out space when they come inside an audition hall, they even have to figure out a space even if they're auditioning from the streets. The space
Absolutely.
is such an important thing. You need to understand how much can you move in a frame, how much will your mobile phone be able to get it. And ma'am, these are things that actors need to learn.
I
And
agree.
I've been always very insistent that they have to be quasi engineers in their mind. They have to be
Yes.
quasi doctors in their mind.
Yes.
Actors have to be everything in the world right now. And that is why
Absolutely.
I continuously say and maintain that this is the most difficult profession in the world currently. I'm doing a massive historic show, basically, which is based on the Indian independence era and stuff. So, like, we have to cast Nehru and we have to cast Indira Gandhi. And these girls who are sending their auditions for Indira Gandhi are absolutely stunning. Some of them
Wow.
have made a plait and sent it, but some have like actually given those gray streaks to their hair. And so it's just heartening and interesting to see how everybody renders these things.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody has his own way of interpreting the auditions. Some are exactly speaking like Indira Gandhi because they've done their research, but some are making it their own audition. Some are making it their own process. They're speaking just like how they would speak to me, but they're maintaining Indira Gandhi's charm and her legacy and her, power that she had as India's first woman prime minister.
Yeah.
So these are stories, and so many as that, like so many. So casting actually so interesting every day. I recently started this lovely initiative for actors called Actors of Bombay, which is just about stories of battles, and it's not just about stories. I never say struggling actor. I'd hate the word struggle or struggling actor or stuff like that, and people enjoy and they take much pride in introducing themselves as struggling actors. I don't understand what that means. We're all fighting actors, battling actors, but there are more struggles than just coming to an audition every day. I think actors, there are so many stories that I've heard that a woman has lost her husband and her 2 sons on the same day. Like she had twins and they died out of shock because of their father's death, but she didn't stop. At the age of 65, she's come down to Bombay and has started acting, because one day she's playing a mother, one day she's playing a wife, and she says, what life has taken away from me, acting has given it back to me. So I have 10 sons now from different shows. I have 15 husbands now. So I am talking about those battles. So I've made this portal, I've made this page called Actors of Bombay, where I'm talking about battles beyond going to the audition hall. Every getting out of your house and standing in queues is something that is never going to change. And in fact, it's going to get more worrisome. Like, seriously, I can't, as I speak, I just feel I'm so grateful that I'm working in this lockdown, I'm just constantly working, and I can just imagine the plight and the pain of the actors. Not just the actors, there are so many professions going downhill right now. They're going south completely because nothing's happening. The salon under my house is completely shut, It was doing so well, but she has to shut the salon now. There are so many restaurants dying every day.
I'm interviewing people all the time about this.
Yeah, and it's just sad. But then, like they say, you have to build cognizance of hope, and like when you say, cope with hope.
What is hope? What is hope for you?
Hope for me is just being in the moment and realizing that something good will happen, but also being extremely, extremely realistic about it. You can't go unrealistic with hope. You can't be, sitting here and saying कि 5 साल में तो कुछ हो जाएगा, because you do not know even if you're going to survive the next 5 years. Life is so fragile. We are all wearing our lives on our sleeves right now, especially in a city like Bombay. The kind of air we are breathing, the kind of food we are eating. I just do not know if there will be a tomorrow, And I'm not trying to be pessimistic here, but I'm trying to be in the moment right now, So in the moment, have that hope that and try and keep short-term goals, Those long-term goals are gone. Like, this is not 1985 anymore, where you just had 3 professions to do, either become an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer at the max, There are so many things. Like, you can choose a profession the moment you open your laptop screen these days. You can just choose, in times and days when you can choose to be anything. Don't choose to be unrealistically hopeful. That's my only thing. Like, I did this massive talk on passion and how I've never been passionate in my life. And that has kept me moving all the time. I never had a passion. But I always had a purpose. I would wake up, when I quit advertising, I did not think twice. It was just that I wasn't happy there. And for me, it became a thing of happiness. Like, life's too short right now.
Yes.
And you just have to be happy every day that you wake up. First of all, you have to thank God that you've woken up. Then you have to be extremely blessed and, very, you have to count your blessings that, I have this, whatever I have, and you have to be content with that. And you have to be very, very, you have to grab the bull by its horns, like they say. It's just that, you can't wait for time to come to you. Time is never going to come to you.
No.
Because there's always somebody better than you out there, always. Absolutely. So while you sit there and mulling and thinking that, in 5 years, I'm going to be there. Babe, you're not going to, maybe you do not see more than 2 years in life. So I've just started thinking like that. And I just take every day as a blessing and I start working with a purpose. Like, my purpose could be as simple as, making 2 good meals today. But if I accomplish that, I sleep a very happy man. You know, and that's just about finding your own happiness in yourself. You know, you cannot find happiness in other people, in other situations, because everybody is battling something. Everybody is fighting a different battle altogether. So you have to choose your battles. You have to choose your battles. You can't set out to fight every battle possible. Today it's raining, so I'm going to write a tweet to the government that they are not ready for the roads. Shut up. You know, you're sitting in you're sitting in just watching the rain, you know, and you're calling yourself a pluvio. You just learned this word that, you know, you are fond of rain. And then you're putting up stories about bhajiyas and green chutney and garma garam adrak ki chai. What are you complaining about? It's not your battle today. So just because you've read 5 tweets that, you know, people are complaining about potholes and how the roads getting, you know, flooded, you are not getting affected by it. You know, so people say that I'm very frivolous that way, but so be it. It makes me sleep a happy man. You know, you don't have to comment. You don't have to become a fighter for everything that's happening in the world. Because until and unless you are God or the Prime Minister of this country, you cannot do anything than just type on your laptop and feel agitated the entire day. You know, just say, like in Hindi, they say कि बाहर किसी को जूं भी नहीं रेंग रही है उनके कान पे. You know, nobody is bothering what you are writing and how you are feeling. People, in fact, have started taking pleasure in your agony. You know what I mean? It's a very apathetic world right now. Like, people are just apathetic, plain apathetic. Like, okay, you write this savage, like, because social media has empowered everybody in a very stupid way. They think, you know, I'm not going to be visible to them. They're not going to get my home. Let us just write anything and bring them down and kill them one day. You know, it's come to that level. So, yeah, just find your happiness in yourself. You know, you have to be a happy person. You have to live for your mom and dad who have done everything for you all their life. My only agenda is that, you know, I have to be able to be answerable to those two people. I am not answerable to anybody else in the world because nobody's invested a penny in my education or my clothes or my upbringing. You know, they are the people who need answers from us. And as long as you're able to give answers to those people, everything's fine, you know. And that's my biggest hope. That's my biggest hope, you know. My hope to call my parents back in Lucknow every night and tell them that I had a good day, you know, and I had a smiling day. Every day is an up and down, but then, you know, they should. I don't want them to cry on the phone ever. It's been 12 years, 13 years in Bombay that I've been here. And the day my mother has cried on the phone, thinking about my life and how miserable I am in a certain situation, that hasn't made me happy. And that hasn't left any hope in me, you know. Yeah. So I've been hopeless. I've been hopeless a lot of days because when your mom and dad lose hope in you or hope in themselves that they haven't been able to do anything about it, you know, I don't want to cause that situation ever in life. Okay. So I've started creating my own hope and my own happiness every day. And I play it by the year. I do not plan. I do not think what is going to be tomorrow. I just intend that tomorrow will be a different hope. So yeah, multiple hopes, multiple days, multiple lives, and multiple happinesses. So it's beautiful.
Thank you, Kavish. It was lovely. I hope you've all enjoyed it. And please remember, work hard, have fun, and don't lose hope.
Yeah, have fun. Life's too short, you know. Don't go up there, you know, or don't look back 5 years ahead after this and in hindsight say I could have done this, you know. Don't become a person of the could haves and the would haves.
Yes.
Make it happen right now, in whatever small way you can, you know.
I agree with you, Tash.
And what a giving city this is. If you give to it, it definitely gives back to you.
It does. It
gives back to you in so many ways, tangible and intangible, that, you know, it's absolutely crazy. There is no other city like this, you know.
And we're blessed, you and me, to be having this conversation. So many people have so many other things that they have to worry about. Here we can sit and talk to each other. So thank you, Kavish, and thank you, audience. It was lovely.
Thank you.